Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. There, there she is, the fabulous gladiator guru. Good morning to the Empowering Process podcast, and Gail Kraft coming to us on YouTube and Facebook. So thanks, Gail, for being here. And good morning. I'm the badass Buddha, Lori Monaco. Happy July. Welcome to July. Cannot believe it is July. So welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche.
Yes. Buenos días, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru, and all the beautiful mornings to you, Gail. She's the one that's on. Yes, happy July. I said that yesterday. Normally I send a happy July out, but I haven't. But already. So yes. Good morning, Tiffany Bryant.
Tiffany Bryant.
So yes, we're vivaing. What was Chanel's quote? If you ain't vivaing, you ain't living. So yes, let's set our intentions. Intention.
Yeah, we'll do the intention and the mantra, but we want to introduce you to the month of July. So the month of July is the Being Bold month. So last month was taking action, but now we want you to be taking the action and be bold, because sometimes taking action, you'll take action, you'll take big leaps, you'll take small little baby steps, but as long as you're moving forward, we're good with that. But sometimes how you represent yourself, how you see yourself is what allows the action to be bolder, taking that greater leap. So we're going to be pushing being bold this month, so that when you take your action steps throughout this month, you're going to feel more confident and you're going to feel more empowered and like unstoppable, which will usually increase your leap, increase your frequency, and get things really moving into a much faster pace and in the direction that you really want to go. So let's start out with our mantra. Our intention, setting our intention, and then we'll do our mantra. Okay, so the intention on Viva, as always, is to be intentional. Go with a plan for your day, even if it's a small one. Just say, today I will be. This is what I intend to do or to be today.
And do it with gratitude. Do it with gratitude. I posted a picture yesterday of my winter camino where I was sitting there, and I ran into it yesterday by accident, and it was just the most beautiful picture. Just me. It was taken from my back, and it's just like I'm sitting there, like I'm like this genius, just lost in thought, thinking up of all these equations when I was probably just having a toke of my cigarette and sipping on some coffee. I don't know. We're never going to know that because it's a picture of my back, but it was beautiful and it was powerful. And I wrote that. I wrote something to it about normalize sitting with self. And that every step we take, let's do it in gratitude. Every step, whether you're angry, whether you're in pain, whether you're just not feeling well, whether you're tired, let's take every step with gratitude that we can make that step. That's so big for me, that to be able to put one foot in front of the other and get from one side of the room to the other. You're never going to really understand how deep that affects me. So gratitude, setting an intentional gratitude every day and being aware of every step you make towards your goals is priceless. So let's keep that going. And that's it.
On Facebook. Where are we? There we are. Okay. All right. So this is, like we said, this is a really, really powerful, I know we're going to do the mantra, but I'm really emphasizing the fact that if you know anybody that could really use boldness, anybody that can really, they're feeling kind of down. They used to have a light burning bright and it's now not burning so bright. If they you know them and they can use the boost, let them share this broadcast today. Today's going to be funny. Today's going to be like, really it's going to set the tone for the entire month. We're going to have fun, but we're going to be really like pushing that boldness. So definitely share it. We would really appreciate that. And let's do our mantra, and then we'll get going on this fantastic month end conversation. All right. Viva Cafe con Leche mantra. Say it loud and say it proud. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am definitely magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I keep it real.
All day, no doubt.
All right. All right, everybody. So, as we said, we are starting our new month, and our month for July is being bold. It's the Being Bold month. Our topics are also going to be bold, and they're gonna strike you. So today's conversation is the naked truth. And then on July 4th, which we hope you will join us, and we're hoping that people are off of work, so they will join us. Start your day off right, grab your coffee, and start Independence Day with us. And July 4th's conversation is your bare ass. And so this is going to be a lot of fun this week just to kick this off. And the best way to kick this off is to start with a really, really important, this sets the tone. It sets the tone for the title of this show, but also the month. And Gladiator Guru has a poem that is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. We want you to really listen to this poem because it really speaks the truth, especially with what is going on in our society for today. Good morning, Miggy. All right. So
Hey,
whenever you're ready.
okay. I didn't write it. I found it, and I think it was just very powerful, especially for today's show, which is this poem is the reason for today's title. And it says, "The lie said to the truth. Let's take a bath together. The well water is very nice. The truth, still suspicious, tested the water and found it really was nice. So they got naked and bathed. But suddenly, the lie leapt out of the water and fled, wearing the clothes of the truth. The truth, furious, climbed out of the well to get her clothes back. But the world, upon seeing the naked truth, looked away with anger and contempt. Poor Truth returned to the well and disappeared forever, hiding her shame. Since then, the lie runs around the world dressed as truth, and society is very happy because the world has no desire to know the naked truth."
Oh God, that is so that whoever wrote that poem was spot on. Absolutely spot on. That I am so happy that you came up with this title, that you based it on that poem. And now we need to actually I'm gonna have to try to not try. I mean, I'm gonna have to create a post with that poem on there, because that poem really, I feel, for me especially, hits hard, because that is exactly what we're seeing in our world today. That people don't want to see the naked truth. They don't want to admit the naked truth about themselves. And they would much rather see the lies dressed as truth and then agree to those as they are. So
It's just like my favorite little quote by Kenneth Eyre, and I say that loosely because I have so many favorites. And it's when and life asks that, why do people love me yet hate you? And death responded, because you are a beautiful lie while I am the painful truth. And that to me it's just goes hand in hand with the poem that I read, because people, they would rather live lies than actually peacefully die in truth. And by dying in truth, I don't mean it literally. I mean that when you really have nowhere to hide and no blinders to put on and no sunglasses to keep you from fully seeing what is, you have to face the truth. And when you face the truth, that part of you that was a lie dies. So, and it's painful because to learn something is quite simple, especially if you want to learn something, but to unlearn, to relearn, I think that is very, very, very painfully difficult. So that's why that quote has always been my favorite, because I don't take it as literal life and death. I take it as people who live a lie and the people who die a little when they leave that life and go naked, run naked into the truth. Because it's a lonely place for many of us. All the labels that are placed upon us because of the truth that we speak, because of the way we walk in our truth, that we're troublemakers, and we have all these many labels. And I still think that as long as you know who you are and how you're walking in your naked truth, it really doesn't matter how people view you. And if you're still living in that type of world, then please come back to reality, because it doesn't matter what people think of you or how they view you. Whether even in business, I thought that to own a business, you had to be running to your customer and hi, and how you doing? Hi. And when I was in Europe, you don't have any of that. You came into this establishment because you have a need, and I have the means to supply that need. I don't need to be anything but you pay and I give what you came in here to get. And sometimes when they did smile and they were nice, it was like, ooh, like the gentleman once long ago that then I gave him a shout out. I had Viva that afternoon. He gave us free shows, but that's like a bonus. But the reality is the expectations that we have us living in a lie. And the naked truth is you don't have to get a thank you when you choose to hold the door open.
Yes.
You don't have to do anything you choose not to do just to appease whoever's in front of you. The naked truth is walking in your truth. And you know what? It's not always pretty, but it is the path you need to travel in order to get to the other side of you. Because living a lie, how old are we? Many of us, when we just woke up from the facade of the life we created because it was safe. And that's what you need to ask yourself. You don't need to hear from us. We're going to touch base. We touch base on everything. That's how amazing the Viva women are. All of us, even the tribe. Because we're going to touch base. We're going to have those uncomfortable conversations when we're out and about with people. And if you are still hiding behind lies and not having those uncomfortable conversations, then maybe we need to have a conversation about uncomfortable conversations. Because it's getting to the point, we're in 2024, we're in July, we're already past the halfway point of the year. What are we doing if we're not living in our truth? What are we doing?
Right.
Tell us, badass.
And the thing is that the naked truth, there's the vulnerability piece. People are going to see, well, what if people see what I really am, who I really am, and the reality is, yes, it's tough. I mean, the hardest part, especially if you've been living a lie for your whole entire life, the hardest part is deciding to be that naked truth, because you have to take accountability for a lot of stuff, and taking that accountability makes you very uncomfortable, but it also makes other people around you uncomfortable. I have to say, I really give credit to people who are really legitimately going through, alcohol and drug rehab when they do those 12 steps, because I think, right, it's the last step. I think it's the 12th step is where people they go back and they make amends for the wrongs that they've done as a result of their abuse. And that opens a lot of wounds for people. And that shows you the strength and resilience that these individuals have, because these individuals lived a life where they just pulled themselves away from their reality by drinking or drugging. And here they are, sober as could be, going up to people that they've wronged, opening themselves up, being as vulnerable as possible, opening themselves up to either people accepting and saying, thank you, I appreciate that, or opening that can of worms where the person just goes off on them and they have
Yep.
to take it. They have to take it. And that could send them easily back into wanting to drink, because most people who are alcoholics and drug addicts, you know, they have a form of, most of them have a form of mental illness like depression or anxiety or low self-esteem. So that's just going to kick that in. And a lot of them, God bless those ones that just don't, like, they just take it and then they move forward. They check that off as the step. That's why a lot of people in the, non-alcoholics and drug addicts, the people, the majority of the people, one of the reasons they hesitate so much to let their guard down, to be vulnerable, to expose themselves and have the naked truth, because they're afraid that those individuals or those situations in their past are going to come back and call them out. And that's where you have to just step up and say, I've got to do this. And it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't really matter. Like, if somebody brings something up and tries to pull you back, it doesn't matter, because you own it and you say, yes, that's true. And then move forward. And if they try to pull you back and say, well, you're not, you need to do this because you did this to me, all the, whatever, or blah, 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 you can own it and say, well, I've apologized. There's like, I can't go back in time and change it.
No.
And I've apologized. And now this is me. So you either get to know the new me, or you stay stuck on the old me. But that's just a piece of it. Sometimes the truth is just that we don't want to be vulnerable because we're afraid what people will think. Well, I'm not that great at this, and I didn't want people to know that, and blah, blah, blah. And we have to get over that. Like, we have to just say, okay, this burden is too hard. We've carried it all these years. Enough already. Just let it go. Stand there and be who you're meant to be, because you will get better as you move forward.
Listen, I understand vulnerability. I think we've all been there. But let's go back. Hola, Milagrito. Let's go back to the 12 steps. That last step should have built a certain boundary of confidence that you are well aware that 9 out of the 11 people that you were going to go apologize to, we're going to tell you to go fuck off. How dare you come up to me? And that's where you are because of the 12 steps. See, this is what people would just say they're in the 12 steps and then they let themselves fall at that last one. So it's about doing the work diligently every step. We're all vulnerable at the least expected moment. Okay, because as I am, there's vulnerability with certain people, and you're like, oh, but that's where what's that thing I want to say? That when you hit the thing and it tells you how strong you were, how high the ball went up.
Oh yeah.
There's certain people that's going to highlight that ball. It didn't go up that far. So that's to be appreciated. That's to be warranted. You should embrace those people because they're like that midway point saying, you're almost there, but not quite. You push, endurance, push. So to be vulnerable, I think we all have that vulnerability. What you need is the courage to push back past it. If we're constantly going to be like, well, I'm going to wait until I finish this other program so I can gain some more strength and courage before I do this step, which that step is going to change your whole life for exactly where you want to be. But because you're afraid of knowing the truth about yourself, this is what I want, but is it really what you need? See, do we ask our friends and family that come to us with that question enough? I want to do this and I want to do that. Is it really what you need? Or is this something you just want because you saw it in a movie or you heard somebody talk about it? That's the naked truth. But we say, well, that's their dreams. I'm not going to pop their dreams. Well, if you love that person, you don't want them to waste a year of their life going down the wrong street. So that's That's being a tribe. That's holding yourself accountable to that word love of the people you hold close to you. Because we all need that little spotlight every now and again. I was talking to Iris, I don't know if she's on the other day, and we were having a conversation with somebody she brought into the studio. And I was saying it's very rarely, if ever, like in a 6 month, I do everything in quarters, but if I were to sing on in 6 months, it's very rare for many years that people will actually call just to inquire about how I am. How's your heart? How's your spirit been?
That's very interesting.
They don't, they'll call to see what I'm doing. What am I into now? Where am I going to be traveling to? But they never call to inquire about Margarita and where she's at right here. And do I need to go out and have coffee because everybody invites himself so I can make them coffee? Now, I prefer my coffee, but sometimes when you're out of your way, you realize the naked truth isn't pretty because those people that you're there in a heartbeat for, are they there in return? And not that you need people to be there for you for what you give, is not what I'm saying. So please don't read into that. So many people misinterpret what I say. What I'm saying is sometimes I have to take a step back in my life and realize, what the fuck? Like, I know that I'm a natural born caretaker. I know it because I went back to when my sister and I would go to school with crooked ponytails because I had to brush her hair when I could barely brush mine because my mother wouldn't wake up from her sleeping pills. So, and I'm like, wow. And all my life, my little sister always said, this is my sister, but she's more my mom. But it just, a habit. I always heard her say that. But one day I went back to, I was like, wow. So when we have that vulnerable spot, sometimes it can come like a fucking tsunami. And you're laying naked, literally, because it ripped your clothes right off you. Like, oh my God. So it's okay for me to be kind, but am I being stupid at the same time? Because I was accepting crumbs when I know I can own the whole fucking bread company. You understand? So the naked truth will hurt you with the closest people around you. So now you got to evaluate, and now you got to figure out where things are going. Truth is freedom, but it's not free of pain.
Right. Right. And I think that's the problem with it. I think that, I don't feel it's a problem anymore because once you step into truth and you're seeking it and you're living it and you're breathing it and doing all that stuff, and you just each day you keep evolving more and more and you keep learning, and the painful part is admitting the lies that you told to yourself. It's admitting the lies that you've told to other people because you didn't want them to see who you really were. It's the hardest part is um, putting yourself out there and accepting the consequences from those that were in your world of you admitting to things and becoming your truth. Once you get past that and you start living the life, being the person that you want to be, you set yourself up on a path, and then you start people start gravitating towards you that match what you are. So understand something, living your truth doesn't mean you're a great person, because living your truth just means you living who you are, your truth, what's right for you. It's just like that word that Gladiator Guru hates so much, which I actually don't like anymore either, is being authentic. Being authentic. Authentic is a general term. It just means that you are being who you are. And if you are an asshole, then that's who you are. Instead of pretending you're not, but you really are, that's the beauty of it. So that's where we have to learn to accept truth, accept the quote authentic self. we have to take it for what it is. So if we meet somebody and we know somebody is not a good morning, Edita. We know that we've dealt with the person to know that let's say they're a two-faced person. You'll tell them something and then they'll go and tell somebody else. And they'll staunchly say that they keep confidence and they're that person who's good, and you've witnessed that they're not that person. It's one of those things where this is where a person such as this needs to say, you know what, I'm not that person. And I can't be that person. Mm-hmm. So if you tell me something, I'm going to tell everybody because that's just the way I am, and think about it in this term. While you could judge them and say, God, they're such a jerk, that's your opinion. But think about it. They just did something beautiful because they were honest with you and said, listen, I'm not the kind of person to keep secrets. So don't tell me because unless you want everybody to know, don't tell me. And that gives you a choice. And you say, hey, you know what? You're right. I'm not going to confide in you. I had to face the fact that I would say that I held people's confidence, but I did not. But I wanted to be that person. So I had to come to terms years ago with the fact that I did not do that and that I had to own that. And then what do I do to rectify? What do I do to evolve, to grow? And that means holding the confidence. Mm-hmm. So somebody says something to me, and I know that they've said something to me. I've adopted the language of, it's not my story to tell. Like my next door neighbor, I don't know, he just started to talk to me through text. We chatted, in person when he was doing work in the yard, and he's opened up to me about a lot of stuff. And I'm not sharing it. I'm not going to share it with my sister. I'm not going to share it with the other neighbor because it's not my story to tell. And I feel honored that he shared it with me. And I want to be that person that holds the confidence. Now, do I slip up? Not so much. I don't slip up anymore. I've caught myself wanting to say it to somebody else, like share it, because not for gossipy reasons, for concerning reasons or whatever. But then I have to stop myself and say, I really, you know what? And I say this to myself, you can't do that because you said this is your truth. You said you want to hold people's confidence. So you have to follow through with your truth. Otherwise, you're just going to take a massive step backward and be the person that you used to be. And I don't want to be that person anymore. So if we all were just so truthful, you meet a person and you're dating them and they say, oh, by the way, like I can't be with one person. So I'm just letting you know that right now. Boom. Gives you, might leave a bitter taste in your mouth, but it gives you a perspective. I wish my second husband had said that to me. I wish he had just admitted to what he was, which was a player. Like, say, this is just who I am, because then I would have made my informed choice. Do I want to deal with this or I don't? And that's the beauty of the truth. It stings sometimes, even when you're in the midst of it at that moment. But it's like a Band-Aid ripping off versus a slow, painful process when you get caught up in the BS that is surrounded by the lie that is wearing the truth's clothing.
It's funny because people do lie. And the people they're lying to know they're lying, but yet we accept it. And then we get angry about them lying to us, but not about us pretending they weren't lying. Now, by how many here have been lied to? And as you're being lied to, you're like, what the fuck? They're lying. But yet, then you're so wounded. Like, I can't believe you lied to me. We're supposed to do this. I thought I was important to you and blah, blah. And it goes on and on. So when I speak my truth, and I've said it here several times, and they're like, yeah, but you don't understand. I loved him. I dedicated my life to him. Or whoever, their job, your kids, whatever. Then they just left me flat. They flat left me, they abandoned me or they betrayed me. And what do I always say? Well, what was your role in that? Because we know the majority, 98.9%, we know. See, I sit back as a Sagittarius And people be lying, and I smoke, and I'm like shaking it. But let's go back to the holding in confidence. There's my son is an asshole, right? And he'll tell you, I'm not gonna say that. So and so can't hold water. So then he won't tell us he won't tell us anything because he says we can't hold water. And I was like, but at least you know that. So,
Yep.
and it's like he says, I tell you what I don't care what you share. And you know what? That's where when I say I meet people where they are, and most of them I leave them there and I keep going on. If you meet people exactly where they are, there's no expectations, there's no assumptions of what type of respect or confidence that they owe you and vice versa. Meet people where they are. And then because you can't go on by like I'm not going to talk to you because so and so said you can't hold water. Well, so what? Some things are not meant to be kept a secret. Some things will fall upon your ears because you are the change maker in that scenario, because you are not maintaining a secret that needs to be blown up. So look at life the way it's supposed to look at 3D, not just right there. Sometimes something very private and ominous or devastating or joyous is coming to you. And you're like, why the fuck is this reaching me? Because you're the chain breaker. Either you got to report something or you got to help celebrate something. But the majority of us walk around in fear because we don't want people not to like us. Let it go. Run around
No,
naked and let the world see you for
that's
who you
that's
are.
probably that's probably the biggest reason why people are not willing to be so truthful with themselves. It is that there's something about them that they don't themselves that they don't like, and they don't want really anybody to know. And then they mask it by doing things that are not in alignment with who they really are. And I get what you were saying about the about keeping things in. Sometimes, yeah, you hear something and you have to say something. I get that. But there's
Even to
that,
them.
and then there's like, I know why I would say like tell somebody, because I wanted the other person that I was telling to like think a certain way and like get into the drama. And it was all about drama, which is really common. That's why most people do tell whatever other people's stuff is going on, especially if it's in comments. And I realized that, like, I didn't like that part of myself. I hated that part of myself. And there were times where I would say something or do something and say, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Because that's not who I am deep down. I know it. And then I would get called out on certain things, and then I'd have to like fiddle my way out of it or something like that. And when I finally just gave up on that and said, you know what, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to be very clear on who I am, what I want, what I don't want. And then this way, when somebody turns around and tries to challenge me, all I got to do is say, listen, I'm very clear on who I am, and that's not me. So if that's what you're saying, who I am, that's not true. When I say what I say, I don't look back and go, oh God, I shouldn't have said that. It's not saying we don't make blunders and we don't put our foot in our mouth sometimes, but when the clearer you are in who you are and the more you live your truth and you're not living in fear of people finding out your lies, you are more confident in standing by what you say and do. It comes out natural. So if I say something that offends somebody, I'm not going to regret that I said it. I'm not going to sit there and worry like I used to. Oh my God, I shouldn't have said that, and I hurt that person's feelings. I I'm not going to be mean about it. But if I'm asked or challenged, and you really want to know, I'm going to tell you what it is. And if you have a problem with that, then that's something you have to work through. I've already, like, not saying I moved on, because sometimes I'll still think about stuff, but what I'm saying is that that's my observation. That's what I feel. That's what and I'm going to speak it. You might not agree with it, and you may say, oh, you're inauthentic, you're a liar, whatever. You don't know me very well then. And I don't care. I really don't care, because if what I'm saying is really getting to you, then maybe what I'm actually getting to you getting to is that lie that's wearing the truth's clothing.
Well, to be labeled inauthentic or liars, who is it coming from? You said something earlier about holding confidence and you know what to say. I'm at the point now where if someone comes to me, I'm like, do you want me to answer you, to give you suggestions? Because if not, I don't need to carry that baggage.
Yes.
I'm not trying to fall into that drama. And I'm not like, why are you coming to me? What do I serve in this conversation right now? Because you know what? Part of me, it was sad that I had to come to the realization, and I've touched base on it in my past when my husband was dying of ALS, and how people, even my own family, would call, hey, Margie, how's Eric? Blah, blah. What is he? No one knowing that I've always been a gypsy and always loved my freedom. Listen, up until my husband got ALS is when I removed my duffel bags from under the bed, because I was always ready to take that leap and leave. Eric was my fourth husband, second legally married, then others that were 7 or 7+ years that I was with. And I left them all. I left a fully furnished apartment. I took my duffel bags, my kids when they were smaller, my books, and I left. If I didn't feel happy where I was, I left. I walked away from what no longer served me. And anybody who knows me that's on here can attest to that. Because I didn't sit there and say, oh, but my kids this and my kids that. No, fuck it. If I'm not happy, my kids ain't happy. And so that was a lot of how I lived. But taking care of Eric 24/7, it dimmed my light. And it wasn't that I was trying to be selfish of give my time. I had no choice. I chose to stay with him. 11 months into before our first wedding anniversary, once we found out he had ALS. So that's neither here nor there. But even then, people would call in the 6 years that I tended to him. And no one ever said, how are you? Do you need a break? I always had a call and say, hey, you think you can stay with him for an hour while I run to the grocery store? And then I'm literally running through the grocery store. Why? Because I had to hurry up back. But no one called. So then now when I revisited that really hit. It just was a punch in my chest, because why am I still around these people, family or not? You see, we anchor ourselves in the name of family, in the name of friendship, in the name of love, as we're slowly dying inside. That anchoring of in the name of all those beautiful things, friends, family, and love, it's really destroying us. So the naked truth would be for me to start severing ties. And sometimes a good thing must come to an end, because it's just that time. So when you walk around and you want to come to me and say something, I can hold your confidence. But before we get into that, I'm going to let you know, how is this going to serve me listening to your story? 1, are you going to be open for suggestions and advice, or maybe a 3-step plan? 2, and what are you going to do about it? I'll listen to you, but you got to come up. As soon as you tell me what's the problem, I need to hear 1 or 2 solution ideas from you.
Hey,
and if you don't have a solution for the problem you're about to dump on me, then I really don't want to hear it. I don't got time for that. My body doesn't have time to absorb that poison.
We have a lot of people on now, and some people were late. So read that poem again, because I really want everybody to hear it. So there's a poem that we started the show off with. This is where Gladiator Guru came up with the name of today's topic. And this is the Being Bold month. So July is Being Bold. Every topic that we talk about is going to help you move forward to become bolder. So when you take your actions, you take bigger leaps, you go faster in your frequency, and you are ready to step into your absolute self. So go ahead and read that because it's fantastic.
Yes, and I don't know who wrote it, and I don't like that, so we're just gonna say anonymous. Says the lie said to the truth, let's take a bath together. The well water is very nice. The truth, still suspicious, tested the water and found out it really was nice. So they got naked and bathed, but suddenly the lie leapt out of the water and fled, wearing the clothes of the truth. The truth furiously climbed out of the well to get her clothes back. But the world, upon seeing the naked truth, looked away with anger and contempt. Poor Truth returned to the well and disappeared forever, hiding her shame. Since then, the lie runs around the world dressed as the truth, and society is very happy because the world has no desires to know the naked truth.
I love that
It
poem.
is beautiful, and it goes back to whomever coined the quote, be the change you want to see in the world. That's what this says. Because although the poem is very beautiful and powerful, I hate that one line says, the poor truth returned to the well and hid forever to hide her shame. What the hell? But that's part of the story, right? You can't finish the story without saying how she disappeared. I think it's just she's ignored.
Yeah.
Many of us are ignored. Let me tell you, I know that I am awesome. I Let's do my favorite part of the movie Help. That my granddaughter had to text me and say, "Wella, can you call my phone and leave what you always tell me on a voicemail so when I'm not having a good day, I can just hear you say it when as many times as I need to." That's powerful. And it's you is smart, you is kind, you is important. That line in the movie The Help might be overlooked by many because it's just when she speaks. There you go. It is when she speaks to the little girl. But
Yeah.
I always look for the little things, right? And that right there should remind you. Say it to yourself. Say it to yourself. Repeat it. Write it. Get a frame like Laura did. What you have to do, like I heard my 3.5-year-old saying it the other day. So I went to say it with her. She's like, Wella, don't say it. Like she wanted to say it. I was like, yes, my work is done. But
She's
you
too
are
much.
amazing. When you look in the mirror today, remind yourself you are amazing. You are brilliant. You are courageous. So don't veer off the path of the truth. No te engañes. Don't lie to yourself. Don't let anyone lie to you. Life is too short. We're all here very temporary. Nothing we have acquired in our life, in our quest to be liked, those awards, those certificates mean shit when it's your time to leave. So honor the person that you are. Hold yourself up. Have that integrity with every step you take. Speak your truth. And if you lose people, they were never yours to begin with. That's the beauty of the naked truth, is when you speak it, the fake will fall off. And you don't have to be having a guessing game or but I don't want to cut them off because then it's gonna offend this and offend that. Everything happens and the time it's supposed to happen. Trust me when I say this. Things will change when they're supposed to, not when people expect you to. But walk in your truth and let those flies fall off. Because you know what they say, oh, if I could be a fly on the wall. Many of the people around you who don't like when you speak your truth are monitoring spirits. They only come to see what you're doing, to hear about what you're doing, what you're not doing, what pains you, and then to use your very situation that you entrusted them with to hurt you, to take from you. And whose fault is that? Yours, because you talk too much. Okay? So people only know what you allow them to know. When you walk in your truth, you don't give a shit who knows what you're doing, when you're doing it, and with whom you're doing it with, because it is the truth. It is your truth. There's no shame in it. You might be hurt. You might be disappointed. All those feelings are real, and we're all going to have them no matter what status we're in. We're going to be vulnerable. We're going to be offended. We're going to feel pain at losing a loved one, a great friendship, whatever. That's part of life. You cannot, it is on top of that pain and that lived experience that you hate, that building stone, that building block comes into play for you to take the next step in your life. You can't always be running around the field singing with the bitch at the hill. Oh, what is it? What is that lady? Mary Poppins? That's not the life. That's the life we think we need to have. But that's
You
not
got
the life.
two movies mixed up.
Okay, her. Those.
Same actress, two different movies. Mary Poppins wasn't on a hill.
Oh, it was someone else. I don't know. I didn't watch
No,
it.
it's Sound of Music was the
Yeah.
hill.
I saw little
And Mary
kids.
Poppins, same actress though. So
And I always said that's so fake since I was little, and I never really let my children watch cartoons. So when you're doing that, you're gonna lose people, but you're never going to have figure out, oh, where am I? I don't know where I put myself. That's not gonna happen when you walk in your truth. You're always gonna know where you're standing firmly in your beliefs, even if you're standing alone, because everything we do is alone. When things happen to us, especially the good things, that's when we share and then people gather. But you always go through the experience alone. So walk in your truth, even if you're alone, because as you're walking alone, your real people, your tribe of truth will come. They're going to say, oh, there she is. She went through all that season by herself because she spoke the truth. What better way to live than that? With your integrity in place.
Yes. Because the thing is that what I've learned over the years is that, again, when you are honest and straightforward, people don't always want to hear it, but it allows them as well. See, this is what you respect yourself when you are truthful to yourself. You also respect others because you are telling people exactly who you are. You're not hiding behind anything. You're not pretending. You're not manipulating. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. So you either are okay with it or you're not. If you're not okay with it, I'm okay with that. I don't have to be trying to go after your, a relationship with you in some sort of way. And so when you think about that and you stand there and you say, well, this is me, this is who I am, it gives people permission to make their own choice. And when they turn around and say to you, oh, you lied, you weren't really like that. No. That's not true. I didn't lie to you. You chose to see me and do and or believe something else. Because that happens as well. See, when you are walking truth, like when you are just out there in your nakedness, in your truth, there will still be people that will come up to you and accuse you of lying to them. That's not who you were. And that's where you can say wholeheartedly, that's not true, because they cannot handle how truthful you are. Because it reflects back at them, and what they see is a person who's not truthful to themselves. So be prepared for that as well, but not be prepared in a way like, oh my God, get ready, you're going to have to battle, blah, blah, blah. It's more like know that it's coming and still walk with your head held high in your truth and say, listen, we're good. I'm on my way. You do your thing. Because it reminds me of something, I think it was, who wrote it? Let me see, where is it? I think it was, okay, Kathy said it. Kathy said, it's interesting when I say or do something and someone complains about it, then down the road, I see them saying or doing the same thing I was saying or doing.
Girl, that's the story of my life.
That happens all the time because people are so stuck on their lie that if you point something out, they get very defensive because they didn't want you to see them in their vulnerable state. They didn't want you to see their nakedness. And then sometimes it takes them to process it, and then they'll do it, And I don't look at it like, there was a time where I was that person too, where I would say or do something, just like you're saying, Kathy. And then the person would argue and say no or whatever. And then down the line, they would say it. And guess what I had to do? I had to make sure they knew that I knew that they did it. Like, oh, it's one of those things. Oh, well, look at you. We just talked about this like 2 months ago and now you're doing it. When I realized how much I hated that type of person and I was being that person, again, there was another lie dressed as truth where I had to say, okay, I can't be that way. To say I told you so, like that kind of person, sometimes you have to say something similar to that, but not so condescending, not so like, it's more like, well, I did say that, and it allows the person to acknowledge it and say, you know what, you were right. And that is a big step for them as well. Acknowledging, yep, I was wrong. And you did say something and it was right. But to say it in such a way to shame them, all that's doing is making you try to feel better about yourself. And again, my truth is I've been there. I've done the shaming. I've been shamed. I don't like any of it. I don't want any part of it. That's my truth. I don't want to be the one shaming and I don't want to be shamed. So I'm going to call you out on it if you're shaming me, or I'm just going to walk away from you. And if I even remotely feel like shaming somebody, I have to stop and say to myself, what the hell is my problem that I feel the need to knock this person down?
What the hell is going on with the world? When we were growing up, people spoke their truth all the time. And now all of a sudden, everybody's so damn sensitive and created all these words that are used all the time. If you did something, if you're close to me and I love you and your family or a close friend, and we're talking about something and I'm constantly telling you, you know what, I think we should go the other route. Well, Margie, I don't know what to do. I'm still stuck. Well, I said, well, we talked about different scenarios that you can go where it's going to avoid, your downfall and blah, blah. And then you still waste my time. You waste your time and you fall in the pit. And now you're coming back to me, crawling, crying for me to help you. I'm going to say, I told you so. And why is that me being condescending when the truth is supposed to slap you when you have not listened to, like God could have came down and said, don't go that way. So I'm going to send you somebody to guide you. And then here I come skipping happily towards you. And then we're going over to it. Like weeks have gone by. We're going over the same freaking topic. And we're describing every flaw you're going to face unless you decide. And here are the scenarios. You have 3 options that are going to guide you to where you're supposed to be. Just avoid that one. And you still go that way. Then, yeah, you're going to come back to me and say, oh, can you help me? I can't seem to dig myself out of what we said you shouldn't go into. Then, yeah, I'm going to say, what the hell? We talked about this. I told you so. I'll say it to my kids today. I don't feel that's condescending.
It's not condescending. It's not. What you're doing is not condescending. You're doing it because you're pointing out their lack of truth. You're
and my wasting time.
It's not condescending. Condescending is when somebody cannot wait to tell the person, I told you so. I told you not to do that for the exact reason to shame them and make them feel like shit. What you're saying is, I told you so. We've had this conversation. I told you that if you did that or if you went that direction, this was going to happen. You are not having a solution. So know what? This conversation is done. This is more of a teachable moment or a learning opportunity, what you're offering. It's not coming from a place of, I'm going to make them feel so lousy about themselves and knock them.
Because that's a weak and insecure individual. Only weak and insecure people will purposely see. People think that I offend people on purpose. No. If you knew me, you would never say that. If you know me and you still say that, then you have a whole lot of work to do on yourself. And I don't have time for it. Go seek a professional that you're going to have to pay, because my free time that's been sucked out of me because your friends and family, you come to me, blah, 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 and then you go and do the opposite. Well, go pay somebody and handle your business. Because that, when somebody is continuously looking for that, But, going back to what you said earlier, I am experienced, which I've shared with you and I've shared with other people, is that people pretend to be me. They'll say what I say, how I say it when I'm not around. They'll claim what I have established. They'll do a lot of stuff, but they won't give me the credit, or they won't acknowledge. See, when I learn something, I say, oh my God, I went so-and-so, or I listened to so-and-so, or so-and-so said something the other day that really struck a chord with me. And that is my expectation of expecting everybody to be genuine. And then when you call them out, then you're being rude, or you think you know it all and blah, blah. I don't give a shit. Because the sensitivity going on in the world right now with what you say, and oh, that's shaming, or this isn't proper, or that's inappropriate. That's what's leading us on the road to hell. Okay? With all this sensitive bullshit, you know what? I'll offend you, and that way I never have to deal with you again. Get behind me, Satan. Because people want to come in and expect to change your morals and your values to fit them. But if you walk in your naked truth, then you know the truth, you feel the truth, you breathe the truth, and you're like, not today. Not today. And if you lose people, they were never yours to begin with. And when you walk in your truth and you're sharing your naked truth and you lose people, the beauty in that is they were never meant to be with you in the first place.
And you made room for the good people that need to come into your life.
Those were monitoring spirits who only came to seek and destroy and dim your light. And that's where the insecurities come from once ago brave individuals. But if you walk in your truth and you're steadfast in what you are, you have your boundaries, you have said, I will not tolerate this, or I can shift with this because it is you and you really don't know, or you really can learn. There's room for acceptance. Walk in your truth. It doesn't matter. Don't give a shit who gets offended. If people want to say that I purposely offend people, well, if you brought it, you get it. I'm gonna say it. I'm not matching energy no more. I'd rather just walk away from you because my energy is more valuable. And that light that's within me shines bright for a reason. And obviously, you're not to be illuminated by my presence. Okay? That is also a truth. You know why it's a painful truth? Because those people who are not meant to be illuminated by your presence can be your siblings, can be other close family members, nephews, nieces. It could even be your own children. Shit, you could be looking in the mirror saying, oh my God, I'm dimming my own light. What the fuck? But those are awakening moments that you need to learn in that precise moment. But you can only learn those lessons when you're walking in your truth. When you are saying, you're standing in front of the mirror like I did yesterday, and I was like, this menopause. And then I say, I don't want to blame menopause anymore. I am in menopause. And unfortunately, my hormones are going crazy. But what am I doing to stabilize them? I didn't gain all this weight just because of menopause. I've gained this weight because I didn't meet it halfway and figure out what it needs to stabilize so that they're not off balance, causing this shift in my body. So that's what I did last night. That's my naked truth. That I can pick up my stomach and go wobble, wobble, wobble. Long ago, I tattooed a butterfly on my hip, and it was a joke. I wasn't even the size I am now. And I said, I got it there so that when my hips, my fat jiggles, the butterfly flutters. It looks like she's flying. But you know what? It comes a time where I need it to be exactly where I'm at so that I can face that naked truth. What am I doing to stabilize my hormones in my 7th year of menopause? Because that's how long I've had it. That's how long I've had to learn the ins and outs of my body and my hormones, right? So I'm just saying, it doesn't matter who you lose, because if you lose them, they were never yours to begin with. When you walk in your truth, you are a role model to your children. You are a role model to the individuals that God has brought into your life for a reason, whether to like you or dislike you. It doesn't matter. Not everybody who comes to you is supposed to be your friend. Not everybody who comes towards you is supposed to like you. But that's what builds your character. It's their loss because you're a great person, but that's what builds your character. That's what builds your armor to decipher who is for you and who is against you. Because that's what life is right now, spiritual warfare. You know, people are going to come to you in doves and you're going to feel like, oh my God, I must be doing something right because everybody's reaching out. They must have found my card. They must have read my webpage. No, bitch, wake up. Walk in your truth so that you can identify what are the spirits coming to you. Because when you build your business, there's people close to you that are going to be very envious. And with that envy, we live in a spiritual world, comes those monitoring spirits, not to just poke holes in it, but to bring you down. Because why should you succeed and not me? That's the naked truth of the world we're living in now. You want to pretend it's something else, no matter how professional, how many degrees you have, you do exactly that. And don't complain when everything falls next time. Be diligent of your spirit, protect your mind, nurture your heart, and walk on. But do it walking in your truth. That's all I can say. And it's time to go because I got to take my granddaughter to school.
All right, everyone. We'll see you on Thursday from the Badass Buddha. Remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Savannah. Oh, my turn. Mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out their bullshit. Namaste.